Hi everyone, Rob from Multihog here, and going to take you through our Multihog CV. So the CV is a multi-purpose compact sweeper, and when I say compact, it's really nimble machine. It has an inside turning radius of only 47 inches or 1200 millimeter, and it can be as narrow as 1200 millimeter with the brushes fully in and the narrowest set of tires on. So that's only 1200 millimeter or 47 inches wide. The machine is a 75 horsepower unit and 4-wheel drive, which is fully hydrostatic drive. The engine driving that is a Hatz diesel engine, and for North America it's Tier 4 final, where you've got no DPF or DEF emissions to maintain on it either. And for Europe, it's stage 5, where you've got no AdBlue on that engine. So that's great from a maintenance point of view. The drive is 4-wheel drive, as I said, which really adds to that multifunctionality of the machine. So for a sweeper, it's a truly multi-purpose sweeper. You have that 4-wheel drive traction and pushing power with the 75 horsepower engine for even winter applications like snow plowing. And it's very efficient for that as well. The machine also has 25 mile per hour travel speed or 40 kilometers per hour travel speed, and it's type approved as a tractor, so it can be registered for road use. And with that type approval, you've also got a fully ROPS tested cab on the machine. Something that the machine is best in its class at is the suction that it has. It's absolutely amazing what this machine sweeps. It has the vacuum of up to 100 millibar or 40 inches of water. So the suction on this unit is just phenomenal. Something else that goes hand in hand with that is the level of dust suppression it has. So it has 4-star rating for both PM10 and PM 2.5 on the unit. So to generate that, or to get that 4-star rating, it has water recirculation for dust control and a freshwater tank as well for dust control on the brushes. So absolute superb dust control in this unit. One of the big advantages as well for this unit, for the operator, is just how comfortable it is. This machine has fully independent suspension with an integrated roll bar for stability. But once the operator is in the cab, very smooth and very comfortable, even for long days of operation. So they're the key features. I'm going to take you to the front of the machine and do a full walk around to take you through all the details now. Alright, so at the front of the machine, first thing you'll notice is how narrow it is. At 47 inches or 1200 millimeter with the brushes all the way in and the narrowest tires on the unit. That's really compact for a sweeper that has 1.5 cubic meters or 2 cubic yards capacity. So really compact. You'll also notice, looking at the cab, just how good the visibility would be. So the operator can see everything around them and also right down to the ground where the brushes would be. At the top of the cab, you have your standard road lights, and these have your turn signals or indicators, high beams and low beams. You've got optional LED flashers here on the front, and also optional LED work lights, which are really bright and can be adjusted depending on what implement you're running off the front. So lighting on the unit is excellent. Here you'll see we have these large mirrors for extra visibility. One other thing to mention as well, we do have options for heated windscreens on these machines, so even for use in colder climates or for those winter applications, that's great. Down now to the brushes. Okay, so down here we have our dual brushes. These are independently controlled from toggles inside the cab, and they also have adjustable down pressure and adjustable RPM up to 150 RPM. Each brush is 900 millimeter wide diameter or 35 inches, and they have water spray nozzles as well for keeping the dust down, for the dust suppression. Underneath the brushes you have your suction head, which is 635 millimeters wide, or 25 inches. And then the suction tube running up to the hopper from that is 180 millimeters wide, 7 inches. And that gives you great suction, and it's a really short path from the suction head up to the hopper to help with that suction too. This whole brush assembly comes off, and you can connect the brush arms together with an A-frame, and that A-frame then you would use for the other implements that you can put on, say a winter broom or a plough, or mower decks or scrubbers, because the machine, as I said, is totally multifunctional. Taking those brush arms off, you will see that you have double acting quick release couplings that control the brush arms. So you would pull them out, and then your other attachment functions would plug into them. You also have couplings for your high flow hydraulics there, where you have up to 100 liters per minute or 26 GPM high flow hydraulics from there. Some extra information on the brushes. First of all, to change the brushes when they're worn, really easy to do. You have 4 nuts to loosen that you'll see in the brush assembly. Loosen those off and you just rotate the brush assembly and it'll drop out, and then it's very quick then to put the other one back on. Also, it is possible to get a third brush option for these machines, and that can be retrofitted as well. So if you were going to be doing a lot of gutter line sweeping, or you could even fit on a weed brush type head to that third brush for extra versatility with the machine, can be a really great option. Right, round to the side of the machine. First thing to point out is our freshwater tanks. This supplies water for the brushes for dust suppression, for the nozzles at the brushes, and also supplies water for the high pressure hand lance option that you can get with the machine. They're 200 liters or 53 gallons capacity, and they're roto molded, so they're lightweight but really robust. Down here then you'll notice the cooler vents here. So the machine has exceptional cooling. In fact, it's rated for up to 50 degrees Celsius or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And we've actually got twin 2-part coolers, one on each side, for cooling the engine coolant, the hydrostatic oil, the intercooler, and also a diesel cooler. And you have a fan on either side that's hydrostatically driven, so we've got full control over the fan speed, and also there is a reversing fan option for that as well, where depending on the application you may want to have the reversing fan for blowing off debris or grass from those coolers. The next thing that you'll notice here then is just how short the distance is from the hopper down to the suction head. So you'll be able to see the suction tube running through the center articulation there, and that really helps to maximize the flow and the strength of suction that we get into the hopper. So we'll take a closer look in at the articulation. First thing to note on the center articulation is the turning angle. So the machine can achieve 50 degrees turning angle left and right, which gives that amazing turning radius that the unit has of 1200 millimeter or 47 inches inside turning radius. Next thing is that the machine has dual steering cylinders, which helps with giving a very strong turning force, but also a stable ride. Then you will see how cleanly routed the hoses are through the center articulation. So a lot of work goes in to mitigate any chafing, and packaging the hoses very tightly on the CV helps with that. Also, on this unit we've only got 16 electronic wires running from the front to rear, as all the electronic components are running on the CAN bus system, so that helps to limit with any complexity of chafing with cables running from the front to rear on the unit. So On the hopper, first thing to point out here is that it's 1.5 cubic meter capacity, or just under 2 cubic yards. So you've got really, really good volume. And on that, to note that the machine itself has a 3.5 ton GVW as standard. So even if you're lifting heavy stuff like gravel, you've got really, really good payload capacity. And you can actually upgrade that to 4 ton or 8,816 pounds at GVW. You have an option for that. Inside the hopper also, you have a 100 litre or 26 gallon recirculation water tank as well. That's used for dust suppression in the suction tube and the suction head. So helping to get that 4-star rating that the machine has for PM10 and PM2.5. So really, really good dust suppression. On the hopper too, you have an inspection hatch which opens up for looking into the hopper. And also on the inspection hatch itself, you have this removable plate here for putting wander hose onto the hopper. The hopper itself then can actually be removed from the CV very, very easily, because you can run other applications on the rear, say even a salt spreader. And at the front of the hopper, you'll notice the quick release couplings here, where you have high flow hydraulics up to 60 litres per minute or 16 gallons, and an additional double acting couplings there as well, or a set of double acting couplings that can be used for the attachments you put on. So it gives you a lot of versatility for what you want to run on the rear. Next thing to note then is the serviceability access you have on the machine. So really, really good access, where your diesel tank and your front panel open up fully. So very quickly, you've got really, really good access to the engine bay, giving you direct access to any of your service items, such as your fuel filters or oil filters on the machine. At the rear of the machine here, up at the top, we have options for LED flashers on the hopper, rear view camera as well. Down here, you'll see we've got lighting for turn signals or indicators, reversing lights, stop lights. All this lighting again, this is for road use, as the machine can be registered for road use. It's fully type approved as a tractor. Important to note here that the tipping height on the hopper is 1,600 millimeters or 63 inches. So you've got really good clearance there for reversing up to skip or dumpster. And then you have your rubber stops here as well, which will come in handy when you're reversing up to that for dumping. Down here you have your isolator switch, or your kill switch for the battery. And then here you have a blank plate for mounting on an optional tow hitch, as the machine has a towing capacity of up to 3.5 ton for a braked trailer, which is pretty amazing capacity for a compact sweeper. Okay, on the rear panel here as well, you have your suction tube for your wander hose mounted, and the panel will then open up where you can access the wander hose tube itself. And then you also have a hand lance option too, which is on a retractable reel, and that's especially useful for actually cleaning out the hopper of the unit itself, or bus shelters or park benches, or that type of application. So over on this side of the machine, you have on the hopper again, you have another inspection hatch and location to put your wander hose. Your hydraulic oil tank is on this side of the machine also, where you have your fill and you have a sight level as well. And then at the front of the rear chassis, your panel opens up where you can access your air filter on the machine. Okay, so sitting inside the cab of the CV now to run you through some of the features in here. First thing you'll notice when you're sitting inside is just how good the visibility can see. You can see all around you, and you can see right down to the ground, and have full view of the brushes. And also on the floor of the cabin, you've got a viewing panel where you can see down to the suction head. Next thing you'll note is how spacious the cabin is. So you've got really good leg room. I've got fantastic headroom. And you've got really good comfort to go along with that. So I've got full adjustment of my steering column where I can pull it towards me, and I can adjust the top angle as well. I've got a high back seat which has full adjustment as well from angle, forward and back, and it's an air ride seat as well. So that air ride seat coupled with the suspension makes for a really comfortable ride for the operator. So very spacious and comfortable. There's also very good storage inside the cab, cup holder, spaces for lunchbox or toolbox on either side underneath the armrests. Up on the top, you've got your control for heat and AC options, and you've got your radio as standard in the cab as well. Then when you look directly in front, you've got your rear view camera option on this machine. And there is also options to have cameras pointed at the front of the suction head and also at the rear of the suction head. And if you go with those options, they'll also show up on the same screen. So as you're sweeping, you can see exactly what's happening down at the suction head. So really good feature to have too. So in front of the steering column, you have really large dash display, and this has all your information for the operator, like engine RPM, engine temperature, fuel level, speed. Very clear, and there's also some diagnostic capability built into this dash. So just to give you a clear shot of the viewing panel to the suction head that I mentioned earlier, you can see that's right in the center of the floor. So when you're operating, you just need to look down. It gives you a good view of the position of that and if there's anything blocking it. Alright, so to take you through all the main controls for the CV, they're located over on your right on the armrest. So really ergonomical. You can reach everything from your normal seating position with your arm resting comfortably. First things to point out are your toggle controls here for your brushes. You've got independent control over your left and right brushes. Really simple and easy to use. Secondly, you'll see you have this rotation switch here. So this switches the machine between drive mode and work mode. So in drive mode, that machine just drives like a car, where you've got forward, neutral and reverse. Then you have your accelerator and brake. So really simple to drive as normal. Then you can switch this into work mode, and the machine is set up for a sweeper. So all these controls here then will control the sweeper functions. Now the first one to point out, and key feature for the machine, it's a really big advantage for this unit, is our green auto start button here. So this is a one push button that will put everything into the right configuration for sweeping. So what that will do is it will adjust the engine RPM up, so your vacuum fan starts running. It'll set your brushes down to the ground at a set ground pressure, and then your brushes will start rotating at the preset brush RPM as well. And also your water on your brushes and your water on your suction hood will all switch on, all off that one button. So it takes any of the complexity out of it for the operator, making it just really simple to use. Then you have the individual controls for each of those functions that green button takes care of. So for example, our top left knob here, top right knob, controls our brush speed. The next one down controls our fan speed, and then we have control over our ground pressure on the brushes. So depending on what you're sweeping, you can adjust all three of those. You also have your button for lifting up and down your suction head. So say you come to railway tracks and you just want to lift it up quickly. When you press that button, the suction head comes up, but it leaves your fan on, so you don't have to let your fan spool back up again when you cross the tracks. Over here you have your boost mode for your fan. So if you are going into a particularly heavy pot of sweeping and you've got gravel to pick up, let's say, you can switch that fan into boost mode. That will put it up to its absolute maximum and give you amazing performance on the suction. And when you're finished, then you just press it and it'll go back down to the preset setting here on this knob. This toggle here controls your flap on your suction head. So if there's larger debris that you need to pick up, you could open up the flap, and then to go back down for normal sweeping, you can just close it again. And then also over here you have this orange tab, and that is for controlling your engine RPM. But in sweep mode you wouldn't even have to adjust that, because that will all go automatically off the green auto start button. Last then to point out is your cruise speed button here. So if you're sweeping at a certain speed, you can just press this once and then take your foot off the accelerator pedal, and the machine will just maintain that constant speed, which is a great feature as well.